Imagine this, a dog, battered and bruised, standing at the edge of a vast, unforgiving wilderness. His eyes, though weary, still hold a spark of hope, a quiet determination that refuses to be extinguished. Against all odds, he keeps moving, one paw in front of the other, driven by a will to survive that defies explanation. Did you know that dogs have an incredible will to survive? They can endure extreme conditions, overcome unimaginable challenges, and still find the strength to keep fighting. But this story isn't just about survival. It's about resilience, courage, and the unbreakable spirit of a dog who refused to give up. What would you do if you found a dog in need, battered but still fighting? Would you walk away, or would you stop and change their world? Today, we're sharing a story that will remind you why every dog deserves a second chance, and why sometimes the strongest hearts come in the smallest packages. But what happened next will leave you in awe. Deep in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, a small dog named Scout was fighting for his life. No one knew how he had ended up there, whether he had been abandoned, lost, or left to fend for himself. All anyone could see was a scruffy, underweight terrier mix, his coat matted with dirt and his ribs visible beneath his skin. Scout had been wandering for weeks, maybe longer. He survived by eating whatever he could find, berries, insects, even the occasional scrap from a hiker's campsite. But the mountains were unforgiving. The nights were cold, the terrain was rough, and predators lurked in the shadows. One day, Scout's luck seemed to run out. He stumbled upon a steep ravine, his paws slipping on loose rocks as he tried to climb down. Halfway down, he lost his footing and tumbled, landing hard on the rocky ground below. His leg twisted beneath him, and a sharp pain shot through his body. For a moment, Scout lay there, panting and trembling. But then, something inside him stirred, a quiet, stubborn voice that refused to let him give up. Slowly, painfully, he dragged himself to his feet and limped forward, his eyes fixed on the distant horizon. Little did he know, his fight for survival was about to take a miraculous turn. Miles away, in a small town at the base of the mountains, a woman named Clara was preparing for her weekly hike. Clara was an avid outdoors enthusiast and a volunteer with a local animal rescue group. She loved the mountains, but she also knew how dangerous they could be, especially for animals. That morning, as Clara packed her backpack with supplies, she felt a strange sense of purpose. She didn't know why, but something told her to bring extra food and a first aid kit. She shrugged it off as intuition and set off on the trail. Hours into her hike, Clara stopped to rest near a stream. As she sat on a rock, enjoying the sound of the water, she heard a faint rustling in the bushes nearby. She froze, her eyes scanning the area. Then, she saw him. Scout emerged from the underbrush, his head low and his tail tucked between his legs. His fur was caked with mud, and his injured leg dragged slightly as he walked. But what struck Clara the most were his eyes, deep, soulful, and filled with a quiet plea for help. "Hey there, buddy," Clara said softly, crouching down to his level. "You look like you've been through a lot." Scout hesitated, his body trembling. But something about Clara's gentle voice and calm demeanor put him at ease. He took a few cautious steps forward, his tail giving the faintest wag. Clara's heart melted. She reached into her backpack and pulled out a piece of jerky, holding it out to him. Scout sniffed it cautiously before taking it gently from her hand. In that moment, Clara knew she couldn't leave him behind. Getting Scout off the mountain wasn't easy. Clara carefully wrapped him in her jacket, cradling him like a baby as she made her way back down the trail. Scout, exhausted and in pain, rested his head against her chest, his trust in her growing with every step. When they reached her car, Clara gently placed Scout in the back seat and drove straight to the nearest animal hospital. The vet team sprang into action, examining Scout's injuries and treating his wounds. He had a fractured leg, dehydration, and a few infections, but nothing that couldn't be healed with time and care. Clara visited Scout every day during his recovery. She brought him toys, blankets, and homemade treats, determined to show him that not all humans were cruel. Slowly but surely, Scout began to open up. His tail wagged more often, and he'd nuzzle Clara's hand whenever she walked into the room. One day, as Clara sat by Scout's kennel, the vet approached her with a smile. "He's ready to go home," she said. "But he's going to need someone special to take care of him." Clara didn't hesitate. "He's coming home with me," she said firmly. That night, Scout slept in a warm bed for the first time in what felt like forever. Clara sat beside him, gently stroking his fur as he drifted off to sleep. "You're safe now," she whispered. "No one's ever going to hurt you again." Life with Clara was a world away from the harsh wilderness Scout had known. He had a soft bed, regular meals, and a backyard to explore. But despite the comfort, Scout still carried the scars of his past, both physical and emotional. Loud noises made him flinch, and he'd hide under the bed whenever strangers came to the house. Clara understood. She knew that trust couldn't be rushed, so she gave Scout the space he needed while gently encouraging him to come out of his shell. One of their favorite activities was hiking, something Clara had loved long before she met Scout. At first, Scout was hesitant to go back into the mountains, but Clara took it slow. They started with short walks in the park, gradually working their way up to longer trails. Over time, Scout began to relax. His tail wagged more often, and he'd even play with the other dogs at the park. But the real breakthrough came one evening when Clara was feeling down after a tough day at work. Scout, sensing her sadness, trotted over and rested his head in her lap. He looked up at her with those soulful eyes as if to say, "It's okay. I'm here." Clara smiled through her tears, gently scratching behind his ears. "You're such a good boy," she said. In that moment, Clara realized that Scout wasn't just healing, he was helping her heal, too. One crisp autumn morning, Clara and Scout set out on their longest hike yet, a trail that led to a breathtaking mountain overlook. It was a place Clara had always wanted to visit, and she thought it would be the perfect way to celebrate how far Scout had come. The hike was challenging, with steep inclines and rocky terrain, but Scout handled it like a pro. His once injured leg was strong now, and his confidence had grown with every step. When they finally reached the overlook, Clara gasped at the view. The mountains stretched out before them, their peaks bathed in golden sunlight. Scout sat beside her, his ears perked and his tail wagging slowly. For a moment, they just sat there, taking it all in. Then, something unexpected happened. A group of hikers approached, their voices loud and their movements quick. Scout tensed, his body instinctively crouching low. Clara reached out to comfort him, but before she could, one of the hikers accidentally dropped a metal water bottle. It clattered loudly against the rocks, the sound echoing through the stillness. Scout froze, his eyes wide with fear. For a moment, it seemed like he might bolt. But then, something incredible happened. He looked up at Clara, his tail giving a tentative wag. It was as if he was saying, "I'm scared, but I trust you." Clara's heart swelled with pride. She knelt beside him, gently stroking his fur. "You're okay, buddy," she said softly. "You're safe." Scout took a deep breath and stood up, his tail wagging more confidently now. The fear was still there, but it no longer controlled him. Scout's journey from a battered, lonely survivor to a confident, loving companion was nothing short of miraculous. He had faced unimaginable challenges, but his resilience and courage had carried him through. And Clara? She had gained more than just a dog. She had found a soulmate, a partner, and a reminder of the power of love and second chances. As the seasons changed, so did Scout. He became a regular at the local dog park, where his playful antics and gentle nature made him a favorite among the other dogs and their owners. He even became a therapy dog, visiting hospitals and nursing homes to bring comfort to those in need. But no matter how much his life changed, one thing remained constant: his bond with Clara. They were a team, united by a love that had healed them both. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to appreciate the resilience of the animals in your life. Whether they've overcome great challenges or simply bring joy to your days, their love is a gift we should never take for granted. Share this video with someone who believes in the power of second chances. And if you're thinking about adding a furry survivor to your family, consider adoption. There are countless dogs like Scout out there, waiting for their chance to heal and be healed. Subscribe to True Love Dogs for more stories that celebrate the incredible bond between humans and their four-legged heroes. Together, let's make the world a better place, one paw at a time.